Hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu Genshin Impact. Ja, wollen wir mit Navia gehen oder erst später? Ja, lass uns keine Zeit mehr verlieren.
Great. Let's go then.
Wir wollen Story. Geh nach Poisson. Okay, warte mal. Ah, okay. Wo ist der Teleporter? Da müssen wir erstmal hin. Ja, ich will den Hydrokulus. Kann ich da auf das Seil? Nee. Das ist nicht wie in der Kluft. Was ist denn das für ein Licht da hinten? Ah, ein andermal. Das ist eine... Ach, ich habe jetzt gar nicht geschaut, ob ich eine Truppe mit Fischl machen könnte, aber... Generell Fische ist auch kein...
Destiny has brought me hither.
Oh. Komm. Ist einer von euch? Ah. Ach. Zum Fang von Unterstützungsmecker geeignet. Ja. Wenn die sich für meine normalen Köder nicht interessieren, dann... Jo, geil. So viel zur Herausforderung gescheitert. Oh Mann. Okay, ich muss da erstmal drauf landen und dann neu. Alles klar. Ernsthaft?
Destiny has brought me hither.
Na also. Das würde mich ja jetzt echt interessieren, aber... Komm. Hier mache ich einfach nur eine Markierung hin. Das dürfte jeweils nur Gekloppe sein. Das und... Wir machen die da unten. Oder ist das... Ach, die ist dann wohl doch mit der verbunden, oder? Death from above. Hehe.
Rack and ruin. Vengeance will be mine. Eye for an eye.
Autsch.
Shudder. More speed.
Na komm. Na also. Wusste ich doch, du willst dich bewegen. Oh je. Das ist jetzt wieder so ein bisschen zu lang.
I can put these to good use.
Aber hey. Immerhin.
More speed.
Gibt's nette Belohnung dafür. Hm. Ja, komm. Den Mieterkuhl schnell wegzuklatschen sollte kein Problem sein.
Crush. I condemn you.
Ja, und wie das kein Problem war. Nicht einmal getroffen hat mich der Kerl. Also zumindest, wenn ich nichts übersehen habe. Dich nehme ich auch mit. Kein Problem. Was ist das? Kraft der xenochromatischen Pummelrobbe. Es sind eine sich ausbreitende Pummelschallwelle, die über wirksame Sonarfähigkeiten verfügt. Halte gedrückt, um zu zielen. Moment. Oh. Ja, okay. Das ist auf jeden Fall ein Ort, mal um Schrein der Tiefe zu verstecken. Ich meine, Schrein der Tiefe hat, glaube ich, noch nie so sehr gepasst wie hier. Das ist tatsächlich mal ein Schrein der Tiefe. Also halt ein Schrein in der Tiefe. Oh Mann. Bin ich der Einzige, der gleich eine Warnung vom PDA erwartet, wir sind zu tief? Oh, es geht noch tiefer. Oh, da kriege ich Schmierstoff. Wer gerade keine Ahnung hat, worüber ich hier rede, der hat noch nicht meinen Let's Play Subnautica gesehen. Und dafür schämt euch. Schaut es euch an, es ist spaßig. Friedhof der Schiffe. Also ich sehe hier ein Schiff und ich frage mich, wie das hierher gekommen ist. Ach so! Was bist du denn für ein Dulli?
Beg for mercy.
Providing cover fire.
Crush.
Picked the wrong test subject.
Moment. Füttern? Moment mal kurz. Hab ich dem da gerade eins meiner Geflügel gegeben? Geflügel für einen Hund? Ach du je. Also Geflügelfleisch selbst für einen Hund ist nicht schlimm. Aber hier in dem Geflügelfleisch ist ja noch der Knochen drin. Das kann für einen Hund sehr gefährlich werden. Wo ist... Ach, hier ist der Kartoffelpuffer. So.
What do we have here?
Ja, nette Sachen. Aber keine Fahrzeugmodifizierungsstation. Uiui. Ich liebe ja das zusammenhanglose Aneinanderreihen von Worten, das die deutsche Sprache ermöglicht. Ich meine, okay, das ist eigentlich eine ziemlich genaue Übersetzung von dem, wie es im Englischen heißt, aber im Englischen sind das halt 3 Wörter und das ist nicht halb so cool. Aber war's das echt schon? Also ah. Tja, aber der Hund ist weg. Fleisch jetzt auch. Und ich... Boah, je. Rohes Geflügel. Mit Knochen. Eieiei. Hunde können sich halt an diesen Knochen verletzen. Nein. Ganz dumme Idee. Kann ich hier eigentlich irgendwo... Nö. Der Tunnel ist optisch schön, aber ansonsten ist hier nichts, ne? Ich meine nicht das Schlechteste, aber wenn ich's Altenschlucht, okay. Aber wenn ich sage, da wäre etwas mehr schon schön, dann denke ich mal, werde ich da jetzt auch nicht so viel negative Resonanz bekommen für so eine Aussage. Oh. Berillmuschel. Ich meine, ich habe keinen Charakter, bei dem ich das wirklich bräuchte, aber da geht es dann wieder zurück. Irgendwann wird sich da bestimmt was finden. Ah. Ja. Hier. Natürlich. Also das ist Poisson. Da oben hin. Das hat jetzt wieder so eins dieser Probleme, was ich auch schon bei Sumeru doof fand
More speed.
im Dings, im Dschungelteil. Man hat halt keine Ahnung, wo was ist.
Whoa! What a huge ship! Why would a ship be anchored at a place like this?
There's no need to be so surprised. While it may look like a ship, it's actually Spina di Rosula's headquarters. My father was the one who asked for it to be built like this. Perhaps our taste in exterior design is the only thing we occasionally had in common. A gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
Ich glaube, ich verstehe, warum. Ich verstehe langsam, warum es dir gefällt.
Paimon thought you were bluffing when you said Spina di Rosula had a glorious past. Paimon was confused why a group with such a history would live in the sewers. But now that Paimon has seen this ship for herself, she's been convinced.
Well, Poisson is where Spina di Rosula began, after all. It's our main base, our home.
Alles klar. Wo dunkle Fluten widerhallen. Okay. Ah, stimmt.
More speed.
Hier war ja noch der eine Hydrokulus auf dem Schiff. Oder was auch immer das war. Ah! Was so? Ganz. Oh, nee, 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 nee. Okay, ich verstehe. Ihr wollt mich nerven. Wie bin ich da? Ach, egal. Aber einmal kurz angedroht, man skippt das Ganze hier und es klappt. Je.
Scout.
Sorry, ich will noch ein bisschen weiter erkunden. Irgendwie, ich weiß nicht. Ich habe...
Beg for mercy. Freeze.
Versteht mich nicht falsch. Ich habe extrem Spaß jetzt hier an der Story. Aber, hoppala. Ich glaube, genau deshalb will ich es auch nicht so skippen, wie die Sumerus-Quest ich letztendlich geskippt habe.
I can put these to good use.
Ich meine, da bestand das Ganze ja irgendwann nur noch daraus, dass ich
More speed.
mir eine Cutscene nach der anderen angesehen habe und hin und wieder mal gemeckert habe, weil das Ganze so ein Blödsinn ist. Gameplay gab es ja in der ganzen Story überhaupt gar keins. Außer du willst diese Knobel-Denkaufgaben als Gameplay bezeichnen, was ich ganz sicher nicht tun würde. Ach du je.
I can put these to good use.
Das war jetzt mal wirklich fast knapp. Obwohl ich mich mal nicht so dumm angestellt habe.
Knights and aristocrats share the same.
Ah, okay. Also jetzt wisst ihr aber auch, warum diese Folge etwas länger ist. Oh. Ah, das sind Fräulein Melody und die kleine Paimon. So treffen wir uns wieder. Ah, Salsa, du bist es. Wie geht's dir? Ja. Ich haben uns sehr eilig verabschiedet. Wie war's? Haben dir Mama und Papa zu Hause eine Standpauke gehalten? Ha! Ich saß an meinem Schreibtisch und lernte, als sie nach Hause kam. Also hatten sie keinen Grund, mich zu belehren. Ich habe zwar nicht wirklich gelernt, sondern nur so getan, aber ich bin es auch halt nur so zu tun, als ob ich es lernen würde. Okay. Wie es Schauspieler ist. Vielleicht kann Lernen einfacher sein als Schauspielen. Ich bin es genauso leicht zu lernen wie zu Schauspielern. Yay. Glaubt ihr, Mama und Papa haben wirklich nicht gemerkt, dass ich nur etwas vorspiele? Oh je. Spätestens, wenn sie deine Noten sehen, werden sie wissen. Okay. Die bösen grünen Männer haben eine Falle aufgestellt. Ja, solange es eine Truhe gibt, selbst wenn es eine Falle ist, werde ich... Es ist nicht wirklich eine Falle. Warum ordnen wir sie nicht um, so wie wir letztes Mal getan haben? Ja. Paimon hat recht, wir müssen nur die Position... Ja. Schaut mal, die Natur hat ihre eigene Linie und hässlichen Dinge sind fehl am Platz. Yeah. Bla bla bla. Schau dir das Bild, das durch die Blumen auf der Wiese entsteht. Es ist das Gemälde der Natur. Mhm. Ja, hier. Ah, jetzt ist die böse Falle vernichtet, wie von mir erwartet. Ja. Ganze Ästhetik-Gedöns geht mir halt vollkommen ab. Ich habe mich bei Catherine beschwert, aber sie war so komisch und sagte nur Ad Astra Abyssas zu den Sternen und Abgründen. Vielleicht hast du die Frage falsch gestellt. Naja. Was auch immer. Mir ziemlich egal, was du willst. Oh! Blick in die Ferne vom Mont Automake. Nett. Was ist das da hinten? Ach, wahrscheinlich der Maritimhafen. Okay. Nee, sorry. Nicht während ich aufnehme. Fatui-Kloppen? Nee. Fatui-Kloppen muss gerade echt nicht sein. Keine Ausdauer mehr, aber geflogen wird trotzdem. Das sind die Leute aus Mondstadt.
More speed.
Whee!
More speed.
Ja, okay. Ich frage mich ja, sind das dann irgendwelche Abenteurer eigentlich oder was ist das eigentlich für eine genau für eine Organisation? Wird ja immer noch nicht so ganz klar. Wenn ich dich... Ah! Na gut.
Maloose, we're back.
Oh, ja. Ich hatte vergessen.
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important partners.
You said before that you still had some business at the court. What brings you back to Poisson so quickly?
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of something really important. You see, what if my father's case had something to do with water from the primordial sea? You still remember, right, Malus? On that night, it was raining?
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Linney's. Both were what you'd call impossible murders.
Ach so. Könnte hinter all dem ein und dieselbe Person stecken?
Could you tell us a bit more about what happened before?
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, something called synth began to gain popularity in Poisson. At a glance, it was a kind of drink that could excite your mood and produce many pleasant hallucinations.
Wait! Didn't that guard guy who turned into water also mention that the primordial water could be used to produce some kind of potion?
Yes, he did. Considering what we know now, it's almost certain that synth is created using water from the primordial sea. If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, such as losing the ability to focus or control your emotions. And if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia and anxiety while lacking energy to do anything. It's an extremely dangerous substance. As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse and called for a complete ban of it.
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath, but no matter how much they threatened or bribed him, he refused to yield. Not only that, the boss became determined to find the mastermind behind the synth operation and put an end to the problem once and for all.
Yes, but the enemy was very cunning. So he could never get anything out of the dealers, all of whom only sold the stuff and weren't privy to the rest of the operation. Recognizing that, my father decided to contact the dealers in secret and cultivate personal relationships with them. Finally, he was able to convince someone to become his informant. The man's name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed about his work after seeing many families destroyed by synth abuse. That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate. He planned to meet up and exchange information with Jacques over some food. But then, we heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. We raced to the scene and found my father, still holding a gun, and Jacques, who was already dead on the ground.
Huh? How did that happen? Aren't they on the same side?
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious, but neither appeared to have any motive at all. Looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time. There were pieces of clothing left at the scene.
Könnte sie der Person gehören, die aufgelöst wurde?
Precisely. It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, we all just thought they were some costumes that Jacques used to disguise himself at the banquet. But, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. With one extra person, we'll also need to reconsider why the 2 shots were fired.
Es ist nicht auszuschließen, dass die beiden einen Streit hatten. Aber es könnte genauso gut eine dritte Person dabei gewesen sein.
You're right. We still don't know what happened. But my intuition tells me that we're on the right track to figuring it all out. I'm finally headed towards the truth.
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remorseful for his past actions. It's unlikely that he turned on Boss with 0 warning. I think this third person is probably the key to the full truth. On that note, however, even though this will not please you, demoiselle, as your and your father's butler, I must still offer a word of warning. Our opponent is insidious and cruel. They are extremely difficult to deal with, and Boss has already lost his life trying to bring them to justice. Even though Spina de Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new time of peace, and we have been allowed to live out our lives. There is no need to follow your father's path. It would be both wise and in line with Boss's wishes to step back and give up on the case.
If that's indeed what he wished for, then he should have told me that himself. Was I not the closest person to him? And yet, I was the one most kept in the dark. What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Did he manage to protect anything in the end? Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful is still his epithet. And Spina di Rosula is barely getting by. Nothing has changed. Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death and live out my life just as meaninglessly? I've never accepted that, ever. Not since that day, and certainly not now. I want to find out the real answer for everyone's sake. For the missing girls, for the victims, and for myself.
Navia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable, and more importantly, Demoiselle, I think you're also ready to take this on.
So you do know something else, Malus?
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of the connection between Synth and the serial disappearances case. But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, Demoiselle, had been selected as the next target to disappear.
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that he had been diagnosed with a rare illness. The doctors told him that he had no more than 5 years left to live. And the serial disappearances case caused him great anxiety. 5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict. But once he passed away, all the danger would pass on to you. Knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. He claimed to have already gotten his hands on some key incriminating evidence for the other side, and even told some members of Spina di Rosula about the details. But as long as you remained safe, he would not share the evidence with the public. If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately expose all they knew about Synth and the disappeared victims.
Right. So nobody would be able to get off scot-free.
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has not tried to take Demoiselle's life.
No, I don't believe it. He never appeared to look sick to me.
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the Unfaithful was still far preferable than losing face in front of his daughter.
So he chose to die in silence, so that he could protect me.
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, Demoiselle. What Boss wanted to hand to you was not a parasol, but a sword. If Boss's spirit could hear you telling me that you want to find the answer for the sake of everyone involved, I'm sure he'd be extremely proud.
That fool. Couldn't he have just given it to me straight? No. He might have set up everything precisely because he never thought I'd be able to understand him. Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now?
Wollte dir die Wahl lassen.
Yeah. I suppose that's true. With the way he'd set things up, if I had wanted, I could have just lived out my life without a care in the world. But thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. In this case, he really didn't need to give me an easy way out. Malus, what was the key evidence that he shared with you?
It's the location where Synth is produced. Essentially, it's the enemy's headquarters. When he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't share the specifics of the incriminating evidence he found. But if you want to use it against the enemy, you'll still have to take several things into consideration.
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just go storming in?
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and dangerous organization that's been in operation for decades. There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. We also have no idea what kind of evidence we may be able to find inside, nor what people we may be able to capture. But a single visit to their headquarters would be tantamount to a formal declaration of war. The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed, but also open ourselves up to full retaliation.
Then, in that case, why not work with the Fontaine authorities?
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case. We have no idea just how thoroughly they may have been infiltrated.
Huh. That's true. Seems my father really had no choice. But things are different now. It should be a lot easier to prove the other side's guilt, now that we've connected Synth with the disappearances case.
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this, Maloose.
I am the butler, after all. I live but to serve the boss and Demoiselle's will. I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But considering my relative lack of ability, I've spent my time keeping secrets, performing basic investigations, and waiting for the right time to come.
Thank you for all of that, Maloose. Have you discovered anything new in the past few years?
Let me think. One conclusion I came to was that the enemy must be quite familiar with Spina di Rosula, or at least have an informant planted here. When I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, I used to deliberately keep a few people in the dark and observe the reactions of the synth vendors. If the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must be innocent. If the vendors packed up and fled, however, then someone must have given them the news. After several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, I've narrowed the suspect list down to 3 people. The first is Florent, Spina di Rosula's senior advisor.
Huh? Florent?
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most, which also means that he was someone who understood Boss really well. Thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, he always knew our upcoming plans and could thus avoid capture this whole time. There's someone else like him too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières.
Uncle Marcel.
Oh. Oh. Was ist diese Confrérie?
It's a guild in Poisson. The boss helped it to grow to its current size and prominence. In the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest guilds around, with a lot of business connections in the city.
So, they're like a sister organization of Spina di Rosula?
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting against the synth dealers, they provided us with plenty of support. It's a bit difficult to imagine someone using their own money to hunt down themselves.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina di Rosula and the guards. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities we have to report to the local authorities. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities, he could theoretically always plan one step ahead.
I see. These are all people who I communicate with quite regularly. To think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along, among those I trust the most. It's almost too hard to believe.
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry. Judging from our experience, the enemy is extremely cautious.
Of course. And thank you, Malus. You've provided us with a lot of great information.
You're too kind, my lady. I'm just doing my duty. And before I forget, proving Boss's innocence would also mean clearing him of blame in Jacques' death. After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. They still live in Poisson today. If it might help, you could also pay them a visit. I can make the necessary arrangements.
Oh, thank you so much, Malus. You really are the best.
A new case awaits, my dear partner.
Ja, du kannst auf mich
I
zählen.
hope we can work together to uncover the truth and end this case once and for all.
Protokoll von Callas Fall. In einer regnerischen Nacht vor 3 Jahren hörten alle Anwesenden des Parketts 2 Schüsse von außerhalb des Anwesens. Ja, okay. Aber können wir mal kurz ihrem Vater appreciaten für das, was er geschafft hat? Ich meine, was wir herausgefunden haben, war ja alles nur wirklich aus sehr großem Zufall und das war nicht gerade die... Oh Mann, Mädel, halte ich da fest. Das war nicht gerade die beste Detektivarbeit eigentlich. Oh, geil.
Time to scout.
Die man hätte leisten können. Ihr Vater aber hat das mit weitaus weniger Möglichkeiten weitaus besser geschafft. Und ich meine, gut, wir wissen jetzt nicht, wie lange ihr Vater da gebraucht hat, um alles herauszufinden. Aber wir sind erst wenige Tage in Fontaine. Und wir wissen noch kaum etwas. Während er wohl sehr viel wusste. Ich meine, jede Menge Infos bleiben uns ja immer noch verborgen. Die werden wir jetzt nachher bekommen, aber ja, echt nicht schlecht, der Kerl. Na, der braucht noch ein bisschen.
It is settled then. Please excuse me and enjoy your conversation at your leisure.
Thank you for
Jo,
arranging
danke.
everything for us, Malus. Excuse me, miss. Do you need anything from us?
Hey, Navia's all quiet. This isn't like her at all.
Ja, stören wir es besser
I'm
nicht.
sorry that I only came to visit after all this time. After what happened, I didn't know how I was supposed to face the two of you.
Ah, if it's about that, there's no need to apologize. After my husband died, Spina di Rosula sent us a lot of mura and support. I understood your guilt and apology to be genuine.
But aren't all of those things nothing compared to the loss of Jacques? I can understand the kind of pain that comes with losing a father so needlessly.
You don't understand at all.
I didn't know how to face you, because I didn't know what I could possibly bring as a consolation gift. I know only the full truth could bring closure to you, and to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I appreciate the sentiment, but you don't have to carry all that guilt. On the matter regarding my husband, my daughter and I have more or less found our answer already.
Would you mind sharing it with me? I really can't believe that my father could ever bring himself to shoot Jacques.
I always knew that my husband's money was earned through others' suffering. He told me countless times that if he could turn back the clock, he would never go into the synth business again. He had many regrets, and felt that he took the idea of providing for his family too literally. For the longest time, he thought Mora was everything. So when Mr. Callis came to him with a proposal, he accepted it almost immediately. He tried to be as careful as he could, but even so, he was still found out by the higher-ups.
They found out about his betrayal?
Papa didn't say that exactly, but Papa did tell me that I should never be ungrateful.
Before he left that day, he told me that he had no choice. It was only later that I realized it was his final farewell to the two of us.
Soll das etwa heißen, dass jemand Jacques angewiesen hat, Herrn Callas zu ermorden?
I don't know that for sure, but you could say that's the conclusion I eventually came to. Which is why I'm the one who should feel guilty. Callis had always taken great care of us, both when he was still alive and after he passed away. Even if he fired the shot that killed my husband, it was likely in self-defense. It is impossible for me to hate him for what he had done.
But Mama, why is Papa still the bad guy if he did the right thing? Papa always wanted to be a good man, so why did he have to do a bad thing in the end?
Well, things aren't always as they seem. You still feel like your papa was a good man, right?
Yeah, Papa was a really good man. The best in the whole world.
Then you should hold on to that. If a good man had to do a bad thing, then he must have had his reasons. Regardless of whether he left you a parasol or a sword. He must have done so to give you a better life.
Oh.
Thank you for everything you've told me. I will definitely find the truth. The current state of things is not something I'm willing to just sit back and accept.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to hear this from you. Even though your personality is quite different from your father's, your determination when you speak is really similar.
You really think so? That's the first time anyone said that to me.
Zeugenaussage von Jacques' Familie. Ja.
Are you okay, Navia?
I'm fine. Don't worry. Let's investigate the 3 suspects next. Laurent should be nearby, and we should be able to find Thierry and Uncle Marcel in the city. I'll get myself together on the way, so please don't worry.
Okay. Ich kann es nur nochmal sagen. Ihr Vater war echt eine Nummer. Ich meine, der Kerl, selbst die Familie des Ermordeten sagt, dass dieser Mord wahrscheinlich aus Notwehr oder so etwas kam. Und sie nie sauer auf ihn waren. Das ist halt schon... Ist halt schon eine Nummer, ne? Ach so, das ist das hier. Ah. Ah. Ne, Moment. Na ja, gut. Aber ich würde sagen, damit haben wir jetzt schon wieder fast eine Stunde voll, ne? Dann werde ich mal mich für diesen Part wieder verabschieden. Und dann sehen wir uns ein andermal. Bis dahin, Gruß, Cynos Fan.